What is going on, everybody? Tyler Brandt back here with another video. A beautiful Tuesday, and we are excited to be here. We're excited to be 5 days away from the regular season. I'm more excited today than I was on Monday and Sunday. We're getting closer and closer every single day. We got Thursday Night Football just 2 days away, and then the Patriots do this thing for real on Sunday. But before we get into that, I wanted to talk today a little bit about COVID-19 with New England. It's a slippery slope, COVID, this year. I think it'll be very interesting to see how the league manages it all together. But I do think more so than anyone else cares to admit, I think COVID had a pretty big run with New England this year. I think, they get off to that hot start. They start 2-1. They really could have been 3-0 if it wasn't for the yard in Seattle that they couldn't get. Then all of a sudden Cam gets COVID and he can't play. And then the Patriots are delayed going to Kansas City and they have to fly and play on the same day, which I thought was completely ridiculous. They lose that game. They go into the bye. They come out of the bye. They drop 3 straight to the Broncos, the 49ers, and the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo one, also a heartbreaking game. So I think COVID had more of an effect on this team than we all realize, or at least anyone cares to admit. So how they handle COVID-19 this season, I think, is going to be very interesting. Belichick came out essentially the day after Cam was cut, and it said it had nothing to do with whether he was or wasn't vaccinated, and he does not want to get vaccinated. He's made it clear. So then yesterday, he walks it back a little bit and kind of elaborates on that statement. We'll break down that a little bit today. We'll break down a little bit of the NFL cases through the preseason and just talk a little bit about COVID-19 in the NFL this season and how it hopefully won't affect New England. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Let's talk COVID-19 with the New England Patriots this season. So we all know the story. Cam Newton gets cut by the Patriots, and everybody has speculation. The media, guys close to the team, guys that are reporting on the team, all have a reason why. Now, certain people and certain outlets are also saying that one of the reasons was because Cam is unvaccinated, and he doesn't plan on getting vaccinated. He doesn't want the vaccine. And Belichick, when he speaks to the media the day after Cam is cut, he doesn't necessarily confirm or deny anything. Really, all he says is that there's quite a high number of players that are vaccinated, but there's no substantial evidence that says being vaccinated stops the spread or is making anything better. Now, the NFL's report kind of contradicts that. According to the NFL, from August 1st to 21st, so essentially training camp, the league saw 68 positive results out of around 7,200 COVID tests, but unvaccinated players tested positive 7 times more than players with the vaccine. So in that first little spat with the media back and forth between Belichick and them, he doesn't confirm or deny that anyone's released for any reason. I don't think that necessarily helps or hurts Cam Newton's reputation, but I do think the idea is definitely interesting. Now, if you remember the COVID policy from last season, it's essentially the same, but if you're vaccinated, that's where it really changes. So if a vaccinated player this year in the NFL tests positive, they need 2 negative tests 24 hours apart as long as they're asymptomatic, and they can rejoin the team with no issue. Now, players who are unvaccinated, it's the same rules as last year. If you are unvaccinated and you catch COVID-19, you're out of the facility for 10 days, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and then you need 2 negative tests 24 hours apart to rejoin the team. So I do think that it could possibly have, in any team, on any team, it could play a factor, and we'll go now into what Bill Belichick said on Monday that kind of elaborates on what he was saying earlier last week in the media and kind of break down where this team goes from there and if it would affect the team. Cam gets cut, Bill Belichick has his comments, and then Monday he kind of elaborated on it and his thinking going forward or going into this season with COVID-19, and he essentially says, I just wanted to take a second to clarify an answer to a question I gave the other day relative to vaccinations. No player has been released or kept because of their vaccination status. That's not part of the equation. My comment relative to vaccinations, really the way I feel, that's an individual decision for each person. As a team, we're better off if everyone is vaccinated. That being said, even if everyone was vaccinated, that doesn't solve all our problems, as we've seen. Multiple players and head coaches and assistant coaches throughout the league still test positive for COVID even after they have been vaccinated. Still, it's still incumbent upon us to be vigilant in our daily hygiene and decision-making for the health and safety of each of us individually and of our team. So we'll continue all the league protocols as we always do, but that's not a factor in any player release or non-release on the team. I do like that Bill Belichick kind of elaborated on his statement a little bit. I do like that he kind of saved face with the media and opened up a little bit about the vaccine. Do I think he's lying? No, but do I think it's naive to think that he doesn't think about vaccinations at all, or who's vaccinated and who's not? I do think it's a little naive. I think around the league it'd be naive for coaching staffs to not think about who is and who isn't vaccinated. I mean, especially when you look at this New England team, they essentially lost those 4 weeks because of, Cam admitted to being in a COVID fog, and his mind wasn't right after he had COVID. And they dropped those 4 games, and all of a sudden they're 2-5, and they're at the bottom looking up. And I think that could affect a lot more teams this year. I think with the travel schedule, even Brady said that he thinks that COVID's going to be an issue. I think that it's not really a coincidence that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers being 100% vaccinated between staff and players was a headline story for the NFL. It's important, and I think coaching staffs know it's important, and I think you wouldn't be doing your due diligence as a coach if you didn't know who's vaccinated and get the most vaccinated, productive players you can on your team, because I do think it can ruin a season. It can very easily ruin a season for you if your quarterback misses 10 days and then you fly late into someone you're playing and then you have to play a game the same day. It's really hard. The Patriots, for all intents and purposes, they had Kansas City on the ropes that whole game. If Cam is playing that game, they probably beat Kansas City. And I don't think that's crazy. They had Kansas City on the ropes that entire game. They had them early enough in the season before they got hot and went on their inevitable run, which is what they're just going to do forever now. But I do think that it was close enough where COVID-19 and affecting their travel plans and guys missing starts affected that team. I absolutely do. So I don't necessarily think Bill Belichick is lying when he says it doesn't matter, but I also don't think he's naive enough to not even think about vaccination statuses at all with his team. To make it even more relevant, this week they play the Miami Dolphins, and Miami already has 2 players that are on the COVID-19 reserve list. Starting left tackle Austin Jackson, whose vaccination status is unknown, and it is up in the air whether or not he's going to play Sunday against the Patriots. And the tight end Adam Shaheen, he's also on the COVID-19 reserve list. Now, he is strong anti-vax, so he's essentially not going to play week 1 against the Patriots. Already hitting close to home. On Thursday Night Football, Zach Martin for the Cowboys, he's out for the game because of COVID-19. So it's already affecting the league, and we haven't even gotten into the regular season yet. So, again, I think to really hammer the nail home, I think it's naive that coaching staffs wouldn't think about vaccination statuses when you're getting down to that final 53 and into the regular season. And then, again, to put a Patriots spin on this one more time, I think this Patriots team, and we'll get into this towards the end of the week about the schedule and the standings, this team is very fragile. This isn't a Brady team that, is going to win 13 games going away with no issue. There's a lot of very good teams in the AFC, and the Patriots are right in the middle of that. They're right in the middle of that pack. If you're looking on paper without even thinking about it, the Buffalo Bills, the Chiefs, and the Browns are better and more talented teams. Then you go down the next level, the Ravens, the Chargers, the Steelers, the Dolphins. Those are all, I think, at least about the same level as New England. So they're going to be right in the mix with these teams, especially if Mac Jones plays well. But you can't afford a 4-game stretch or a 4-game slide because somebody has COVID. So I think that this is a very important season for Belichick's legacy and a very important season for Mac Jones. And I don't think, again, that he's naive enough to not think about vaccination statuses going into this season. I know this video was a little touchy, and I know people have certain ideas of what they want in terms of getting vaccinated or not getting vaccinated. That's really not what this video was supposed to be. This is really just made for the New England Patriots. But sound off in the comments down below whether you think COVID will be an issue for this team, whether you think it'll be an issue in the NFL. If you want to talk about vaccinations, go for it. I don't know if I'm going to comment on those, but it's an interesting video. It's an interesting topic, and I think Bill Belichick handled it nicely. That's going to do it for this video. Have a great Tuesday. I will see you tomorrow. But before I sign off, make sure to follow me on Twitter at The Tyler Brand, on Instagram at Talkin' Pats. I'll be active on there. I'm active on Twitter all the time. So get at me. Let me know. Sound off in the comments down below. Once again, I'm Tyler Brandt. Have a great Tuesday, and I'll see you tomorrow.